we call two real-life royals, opening the door for our next conversation, the Maharani of Baroda and the Princess of Jaipur, Radhikaraje, Gaekwad and Kumari ji. Can we have a big round of applause? That's Radhika ji there. Thank you. Thank you. And we are waiting for Kumari. Where is she? And there you are. Oh my God. I'm sorry, Gauravi. And Diya is her mom. And I made a Freudian slip there. So I have to say sorry. But I only thought of your mom and not of anyone else. So Gauravi is, of course, the Princess of Jaipur. Radhika ji is the Maharani of Baroda. Can we have a big round of applause for both of them? I was just looking back and looking for you. And then I got confused. I'm so sorry. Can we have the award on stage now? Can we have the award on stage? And may I ask Radhika ji and Gauravi to please honor Ghazal with the Her Award, please. And I want to hear a big, 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 big round of applause. Come on. Come on. Let's get this moment. Jaipur, this is your very own royal family here. And of course, Radhika ji from Baroda. And of course, Ghazal the superstar. So I want the loudest applause that you can manage for these three spectacular women. Louder. Thank you. Requesting Radhika and Gauravi to take your seat. Ghazal, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. So welcome. And I know that this is a kind of very interesting conversation because we're in Jaipur. And Gauravi, your family is loved, respected, cherished here. It's the same for you from Vadodara. You have so much love that follows you and your family. And once again, sorry for thinking of calling out your mom's name instead of you. That shows my age. But let me start with you, Gauravi, if I can, because we're in Jaipur. So we'll start with you. What does it mean today to be a princess? What does that word mean? Hold it closer. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's a great privilege and I'm extremely grateful to be part of the family that I am. My forefathers, my ancestors, they worked really hard and they've left us with something. Having said that, I haven't done anything to achieve this. I've kind of inherited it from my family and I'm extremely grateful for that. But I think today, as a young member of the royal family, I feel it is my responsibility, it is my duty to kind of use my platform and use my position as a member of the royal family to talk about things, to do things that I feel passionate about and give back to community. It's the same thing what my forefathers did. I would like to use my position today as a young member of the family to kind of give back to communities and talk about things using my platform, talking about things that I feel truly passionate about.
And so much of your family's work is in education. That is so important because, there's so many young people from school and college here. Was that conscious or did that just happen organically?
I think it's very organic because I will start with my great-grandmother, Maharani Gayatri Devi. She was a change maker of her times. She did things that were not common in her times and things that were not expected at the time.
Absolutely.
But she was an icon.
She was a rebel.
Exactly. And similarly, my Nani, she also lived, she lived a life of an army wife. She also lived as the Princess of Sirmaur in Himachal and then as the Maharani of Jaipur. Similarly, my mother. So my mother is a multi-hyphenate woman. Today, she's doing so many different things. Yeah. So I think to me, it kind of came organically. I consider myself lucky to have such icons, such great inspirations in my life. But I would say that today, we all have to kind of make some kind of conscious effort to push the limits. What I'm currently doing, Barkha ji,
yeah. Please call me Barkha, no G's.
I'm heading my mother's foundation.
Yes, the Kumari Foundation.
Princess Kumari Foundation. And their education is a big, big part of what we do. And I think it again comes down from what I have learned from the inspiring ladies in my life. So yes, it is.
And Radhika ji, I'm going to say to you, okay, Radhika, what does it mean to be a Maharani? When I was listening to Gauravi, I was thinking that, you know, it's so ironic. We're talking about women who bust stereotypes, challenge stereotypes, break barriers. But when we think of royalty, we think of a very regimented, traditional space. And yet, as Gauravi said, you know, in her family alone, there have been so many trailblazers. So can royalty, can royal women in particular break barriers? Can they challenge tradition? How has that journey been for you?
Thank you for that question, Barkha.
Just hold it up a bit, yeah.
So coming to taking up from where Gauravi mentioned that about her grandmother-in-law,
Yeah.
Maharani Gayatri Devi. Maharani Gayatri Devi's mother was Princess of Baroda. So just trying to...
Oh my
link-
God, those are
Yes.
quite lovely interwoven strands.
And the very fact that what Maharani Gayatri did in Jaipur for education and
Yeah.
women empowerment and leadership came, I believe, also as sanskars from what she received from her mother, who received it from Baroda. And when you speak about, ask me about being a Maharani today, I think what we, growing up in the traditional homes that we have, seen our grandmothers being Maharanis and then, you know, your mother-in-law and you passing it down, what we realize is that we are very, very exposed.
Yeah.
You've traveled, you're exposed, you are meeting people of very high caliber. You're meeting people with moving stories, inspiring stories. And yet somehow you have to be able to propel yourself to do and act on what moves you in a traditional way, in a subtle way.
And is walking that tightrope difficult? And let me ask you first, Radhika, and then I'll ask the same to Gauravi. Is it difficult? Because you'll have views of your own, there's tradition, there's legacy. You want to preserve legacy, but the world is changing. I mean, the royal family of England, their lives have become a soap drama, literally and figuratively. You have members writing books, you have the Crown series on Netflix, you have the tabloids writing about them. Both of you also live in the public eye. How difficult is it to be yourself as a royal, but also as yourself?
So I'll tell you frankly, it is slightly frustrating because somehow you are in the eye as a minor celebrity. I won't say like a film star, whatever, but you are a minor celebrity. People notice you, people, observe you, and yet they kind of expect you to be ornamental and yet also be of substance.
I mean, that sounds like what Queen Elizabeth went through in the series that you must have seen. They expect you to be ornamental yet substantive. So, itna sa idhar udhar nahi karna hai, but be substantive.
Yes. And
that has to be tough.
It is, because if you want to push boundaries and yet remain respectful, it is hard. And people have a preconceived notion because the families have been there generationally for hundreds of years, playing roles which were of leadership. However, in the recent memory of people, royalty have lived either very, very traditional lives or very, very decadent lives. And somehow it doesn't really match up to what royalty has done over these generations.
Yeah.
So it's about keeping yourself relevant, and also, for me, I look back to the stories of my predecessors and always draw inspiration from them because they were also breaking barriers and boundaries. So I can't take the onus entirely onto myself. They were also path breakers and change breakers.
And Gauravi, for someone, it must be especially tough because, you know, you want to go out and do normal things. There's a section of the crowd who's looking at you as a princess. There's a section who's like, oh, come on, stop being a princess. And you have to find your authentic self in the middle of that. How do you do it?
You know, when I was 11 years old, I went to boarding school.
Where was that?
I went to Mayo College in Ajmer.
Yeah.
And in boarding school, everybody is treated the same way. Nobody kind of bothers who you are or treats you differently. Soon after that, I went to NYU in New York for my undergraduation. So again, in New York, people didn't know who I was, where I came from, and didn't bother. And that kind of course, every time I would come back home, I would, perform my responsibilities and, attend events and ceremonies, etc. But that really helped me balance who I am I am also a member of my family, but I'm also a young girl of the 21st century.
Yeah.
And that really helped me, being...
And sometimes do those two identities collide, being a member of your family? And by the way, even if you're not royal, there are many young 20s, in their 20s, women today or girls today who don't agree with everything about their family. That's normal.
Exactly.
But for you, as Radhika said, as people in the public eye, when your identity as a member of your family and your identity as a young woman of the 21st century collide, how do you handle it?
It's not, I would say, it has been easy for me. It hasn't been a big challenge. I think it has a lot to do with my upbringing. Ever since I was a child, my parents, my family, we've traveled everywhere. We've kind of gone to places where people don't know who you are, people don't bother who you are, and you kind of learn to live that life and live this life. So I wouldn't say it's been a big challenge, but today in the world of social media, it's as if there's very little privacy, right? It's all eyes on you.
And everybody can access you.
Yes, and I'm a very reserved person. So for me, I don't put so much of myself out there. I put a lot of my work out there, but yes, that is challenging. I think with social media today, it is...
Yeah. Radhika, let me ask you this. You're a mother to 2 daughters, right? And one of the big debates in royalty everywhere is about who inherits the mantle. And if, and it's still something that typically falls on the men of the family. As a woman, again, of the 21st century, is that something that you want to challenge, but tradition sort of stops you from doing so? How do you handle those kind of prickly questions where modernity and tradition collide?
So for the longest time, that question, even today I get it. So when are you having a boy?
People ask you, when are you having a boy?
Yes.
Today?
Yes,
or
absolutely.
Ever? Really?
Well, some of them, all well-meaning, of course, because there is the concern of continuity of a family tree that is hundreds of years old.
Yeah.
And I think my husband and I consciously feel that it is time to bring change. And if I consciously am working for communities that are not having a voice and are being marginalized, am I willing to do that to my own 2 daughters to feel...
Well said. I think that is really a modern thought and deserves a bigger round of applause. But how do you handle then, if your husband and you consciously feel there is an advocate for the girl child, there is a kind of conflict, Radhika, with the idea of the royal heir. How do you handle that?
There is this concept, but I think as being positive and strong leaders, both my husband and I feel more so as a woman, if I am able to be a positive role model or leader for the city, I think the transition to my daughters will be more easily accepted. And I also feel the family tree has too many leaves with men. I think it's time to bring some flowers and fruits into it in the form of the
That's
women.
wonderfully said. I think that's beautifully said. I am going to open this up for questions. So if you have questions for the Maharani and the princess, do raise your hand. I know a lot of people in Jaipur might be intimidated. So Gauravi, how often does that happen to you? Do you find that people, do you find that sometimes you're just craving being treated like a normal person and people don't, and they feel that there has to be protocol and formality?
Yes, a little bit, but I again have, like I mentioned, I've traveled, I've had a normal life, so I have dogs at home who I play with. I go to work in the morning, I dress normally. So I feel like people have these notions, in general, but I do live a very normal life, so I feel like I don't, it's not that, yes, I'm sure people do feel, but I don't, there's no need to, because I live a very normal, I go to work in the morning, I spend time with my family, with my dogs, so it's...
How about you, Radhika? How do you stay regular?
It's really, really regular. I still have to think about what's being made for lunch and dinner. So it's as mundane as anyone's life. But one does get an opportunity and a platform to meet with people, to hear real life stories. And I do feel in the position that we are, that there is like an audience here. People are willing to listen to us and give us some credibility. And I think that is a great place to start from.
That's wonderful. I can see some hands go up. We have about a few minutes left. Yes, sir. Please. It's nice to see so many men today at We the Women. Aye. Oh, careful. Ji.
I have this very, very long, broad, and very revolutionary vision. Can I sit here? I'll feel more comfortable. You know, where what I feel is that, evolution of mankind is not moving at a pace it should. Especially at the times of internet. Now is the time, internet has been there for a while. And we were discussing things like, that, people don't have enough awareness. And this is fairly aware society, a little more advanced, probably some of them far more advanced than the villages. And we still have issues like awareness, And my personal vision is, to move this process of...
What's your question?
Yeah, I'm coming to the question.
No, quickly, without...
this overall evolution of men, people like you, people who look forward to, there should be some program where people like you, people like Barkha should be the trainers. I know your capabilities, Barkha.
Okay. So, no. Okay. Now, today is the day for women. Men can't hog the mic. So, now, come on. You, no, sir.
It's a very relevant question.
No, I need...
I'll just finish it.
No, you will not bully me. You will get off stage. No. I've heard your question. Let them answer it. Off the stage, sir. See, sir, you're being... Okay, finish your question.
Okay. The question is, maybe little people where, people like Ghazal Alag. Yeah, I'm coming to the question. People like her should be made. Now she's done the business. People like her can be very fast motivators, like she was doing the Shark program. Somebody at an international level, universal level, coming to this revolution, where such people are tapped, because they can move the process very fast. Whether it's awareness, whether it is new products,
Sir, one of the things about evolution is, of men, is to, and women, sir, please, I'm asking you politely. Okay, come, I'll walk down with you. One of the things that we must all learn is to keep our questions short so that more of us in the audience get a chance to speak.
I know your potential.
Thank you.
I've been a big fan of your mother.
Thank you, sir.
Big fan of
May I put your question now to the panelists? Thank you so much. All right. The evolution of men is a serious question. And I think it's an important point that he's making, that when women get to a certain public profile, how do you keep men as part of that conversation?
I think it's extremely important to keep men part of the conversation, because the sensitization, the actual execution, you can have a lot of empowered, woke women, but if you're going to have men as a hindrance, it's not going to work, because society is made up of both.
Yeah.
And the imbalance comes if you ignore either side. So it's important that both feel heard and acknowledged and work together. And coming back to the point which he started, what was mentioned, was that it's so important to create awareness, but educate and empower women, because you educate a woman, you educate a family. So the importance of bringing that empowerment to a woman is extremely important, and men have to handhold this, because if they obstruct, there's little we can achieve.
Okay, I hope that answered the gentleman's question. No disrespect was meant, but we do have to give other people a chance. Since a man had a chance at this question, is there any young woman? We have time for one question. Any woman in the audience, come on up. Come on. Yes. What's your name?
Sylvie,
And what class are you in?
11th.
And what's your question?
So I have this question, very simple question. What are the general stereotypes that you feel affect you in general?
Okay, that's a great question. What are the stereotypes, and do the stereotypes actually double because you're in the public gaze and you're a royal? There'll be stereotypes about being royal also, right?
Exactly what I was going to say, Nira. Thank you for the question. There are stereotypes about being royal, about what we're doing, what we're not doing, and again, I go back to Maharani Gayatri Devi. She broke these stereotypes about women specifically. I think even today, there are so many stereotypes that women deal with, earlier we used to have the parda system where women were not allowed to kind of step out and perform duties, and today I think these stereotypes still exist. Some people still do think, okay, you're not supposed to perform this ritual, not supposed to do this or attend a certain event, or not supposed to watch men do this or do that. But I think you just have to kind of break these stereotypes, but also not respect stereotypes, but respect traditions, yes, 100%. But being again members of the 21st century and girls of the 21st century, I think it is important for us to step out there and kind of address these issues and, you know, be part of the modern world.
Radhika, let me give you the last word before we close. The one stereotype about you that really bothers you, and also what would you tell your 18-year-old self today? I want to ask Gauravi that also, but first to you.
So I'll tell you what is the frustrating bit when I step out. I'm either expected to know everything or I'm expected to know nothing.
Yeah.
And to balance that, to be somewhere in between that authentic self is where you're really trying to charter the way and let people know that you're wanting to know, you're wanting to learn. And the intention is very, very is clear and positive for the people. So that is a frustrating bit. But coming to what I would say to my 18-year self is, do not overthink what people think of you. I think we all obsess about what society and people think about us. I think it's so important to concentrate on what you think of yourself.
I think that's so well said. Gauravi, I mean, you're not too far from 18, but what would you tell your 18-year-old self?
I would tell my 18-year-old self that don't worry if you don't know what you want to do. You're going to find your own path, you're going to find your own passion, your own calling. So don't worry, don't, you know, stress yourself about, oh my God, I don't know what I'm going to do, or I don't know what I want to do. You know, just take it easy, follow your passion, work hard, and everything that you're meant to do will just come your way.
Well, let's have a big round of applause for the Maharani of Baroda and the Princess of Jaipur. Jaipur, show some love. Thank you. Thank you so much.